I want to take a second to talk about some of the creatures that we'll be encountering throughout the series. As of right now, we have three different monsters that we're looking at, and most of them come from some form of Eastern European mythos. We have the Capcom, the Balar, and the Cyclops. Cyclops comes from Greek mythology, but like I said, we'll be branching out a little bit with some of the different monster ideas. And for episode 1, believe all of these will make an appearance at some point. Only one of them will be a main character, but there's more of that to come. Now let's talk a little bit about each one and sort of what they are exactly. Okay, let's start off with the Capcom. Now, a Capcom is an ogre that has like a dog head, in a lot of ways like a werewolf, but also different. That's a entirely different video to be made and definitely arguable, but as you can tell by the designs, it's definitely similar in a lot of ways. And they're known for having sometimes multiple limbs, multiple heads. We explored a lot of these different designs, and talking to my character designer, she was great. She gave a lot of options, with the Capcom of different routes we could take. Ultimately, it depends a lot on how easy it is to animate, because we still have to make these characters move. And that also includes drawing every single frame, which takes a long time and is extremely difficult. But she did a great job on it, obviously, and we are going to be moving forward with this final design right here. Now let's talk about the Balar a little bit. The Balar was one of my favorite creatures to design here. It's essentially a three-headed dragon from Romanian folklore. Now, there's definitely a lot of, multi-headed dragons out there in the world of mythology. Of course, we have the Hydra, which is probably the most popular coming from Greek mythology. And the thing that made this one a little bit different was I decided to go for some prehistoric inspiration. There happens to be a dinosaur also called a Balar, and this type of dinosaur had feathers rather than, what you would think a typical dinosaur would look like, different than the Jurassic Park style that we're all kind of familiar with. So it gave me the idea to go with a dragon that has feathers rather than scales. Now that's not a new concept, but I did think it would give a cool twist to the dragon. Initially, I heard about the Balar from a book about dragons that I had bought from Barnes and Noble. So that was the initial inspiration. And then after combining it with sort of the dinosaur idea, this ended up being the final result right here. And it did turn out pretty cool. Okay, next we want to explore the Cyclops. Now the Cyclops, as I've mentioned a couple of times, is, from Greek mythology. We all pretty much know this, but it's also a cool monster. We've seen several iterations of the Cyclops throughout the years. The Sinbad films, the Odyssey. It's definitely, a classic monster. Now, this one here was a very fun design to make. We had a lot of different options here, as far as like body build, hairstyles that we've been playing around with. And we finally settled on one that we decided would be good for the pilot episode. There is some possibility for him to have a bigger role further in the series, but in this first one, he is more of like a passing character. But, I am excited to see how he comes to life, once we start animating and working on this. And, it can be a difficult character to sort of give emotion to, being that it only has one eye. But my character designer did a great job of that, and we will definitely see what he looks like later on in the episode.